What's up, guys? Welcome to Cage Side Connor. I am Connor. Today's video, we're going to be going over my post-fight, post-show thoughts for UFC on ESPN 70, Lewis versus Teixeira. I still think we need to come up with a better name for fight nights, but whatever. Decent card, not bad at all, actually. A lot of finishes on this card. To me, this is kind of like the base level for what all UFC fight nights should be. And I don't necessarily mean the fights themselves. Obviously the UFC can't control how good the fights are going to actually end up being, but it's in front of a crowd. Main event, it was kind of bad, but whatever. It's okay. It is what it is. Had some fun fights sprinkled in on the main card, had some decent prelims. I mean, it's kind of just base level here. You know, when we get into later in the year and we start getting back to the apex, that's like way below my standards of what a UFC card should actually be, and this is a nice step in the right direction for the UFC is what I'm trying to say there. Basically, is like this should be base level, bottom line. This is what a UFC fight night card looks like, in my opinion. This is what majority of them should be. All right, but let's get into what happened during the actual card itself. Of course, in the main event, you had Derrick Lewis defeating Taliesin Teixeira via TKO round one. Bit of an early stoppage here, not gonna lie. You could, you know, I struggle calling it an early stoppage just because of the way Taliesin grabbed the cage when he was getting up. I mean, he literally walk that fucking cage on his way back up. So it's like, okay, the ref needed to stop it there and take a point anyways. I do kind of wonder if that's what the ref was initially doing, and then Lewis started celebrating and the ref was just kind of like, fuck it, we're just calling the fight here, it's over, especially considering how wobbled Taliesin was. So whatever, it's not the most egregious stoppage in the world, but I definitely would have liked to seen it go on a few more seconds. But hey, Derrick Lewis, another big win. Fun times ahead for Derrick Lewis still. It's fun to see Derrick Lewis remain successful in his career, especially this late in his career now. He's getting way up there in age, and he's just knocking off all these young guys that they keep giving him to. Or giving to him, excuse me. Yeah, of course Derrick Lewis gets the Trump call after that, and that was a fun little victory announcement there for him. So what are we doing next with Derrick Lewis? I know there's theories or speculation, if you will, that he could even just slide into a title shot here. I don't see the UFC doing that. I think they know that would probably end poorly for them, considering who Derrick Lewis has lost to. I mean, if you look at the rankings, the UFC official rankings, Derrick Lewis has pretty much lost to everyone above him already. It's kind of, it'd be a little ridiculous to just give him a title shot for no reason. And I'd imagine the UFC already knows that Tom Aspinall would absolutely destroy Derrick Lewis at this point in his career. And it's just kind of pointless when you have Ciryl Gane, Alexander Volkov, Jailton Almeida, guys that have already beaten Derrick Lewis way ahead of him, except Volkov. You know, maybe you set up a rematch there with Volkov. But what I'm going to go with for Derrick Lewis next is Derrick Lewis versus Jonata Denise. This fight was already scheduled to be late last year in November. Denise coming off a big win from earlier this year. Derrick Lewis coming off a win now. And Derrick Lewis said it himself, give me more trash can taxi drivers from Brazil, right? That's what he wanted. So let's just keep feeding it to him. You know, I thought about setting Derrick Lewis up with Walter Walker, who got a big win on this card, but then I thought, why would we set Derrick Lewis up with another grappler, with someone who's going to be looking for submissions? Why not just set him up with someone that's going to stand and bang with him? And Denise will do just that, I'd imagine, and he's a lighter heavyweight as well, so Derrick Lewis could get a KO on him, and I'd imagine UFC is pretty keen on keeping Derrick Lewis in the winning spot up until that White House card. All the way a year from now. So, you know, yeah, let's just give Derrick what he wants, give him taxi cab drivers from Brazil, and continue from there. Good times keep rolling with Derrick Lewis. In the co-main event, Gabriel Bonfim defeated Wonderboy Thompson via split decision. I disagreed with this one. I gave Wonderboy round 2 and 3. You know, I think, especially with the way MMA judging is supposed to be judged now, the main criteria is supposed to be damage. Wonderboy inflicted more damage than Gabriel Bonfim. I thought it was pretty clear. Wonderboy won round 2 and 3. But whatever, I guess we just move on from there. It is what it is. Sad to see Wonderboy lose. Could have been, you know, one last big win for him in his UFC career. For Gabriel Bonfim next, I don't know. I don't think we should reward this behavior with a highly ranked guy or anything with a good name. And I don't think Bonfim did himself any favors here. I don't think he gained many fans by beating Wonderboy Thompson the way he did. Kind of just held on to him in the third round, right? It was a good fight, don't get me wrong, but I think he pissed a lot of people off and turned a lot of people off from him in that third round. So for Bonfim, I'm going to suggest we do Gabriel Bonfim versus Randy Brown, who's currently not ranked, but is a highly touted guy in Randy Brown. Been around the UFC for quite a while. Is very good and is someone that's like just outside the UFC welterweight rankings. And I say we give that to Bonfim. You know, I think you could be looking upwards towards like the top 10 for Bonfim, but I said we look back first as a slight little punishment here for what he did against Wonderboy. I say we punish him a little bit and give him Randy Brown, give him Rude Boy Brown. I think that'd be a good fight. They match up well together in the grappling sense, and I think it'd just be a striker's affair. And I think that'd be a fun time. I think that's a good showcase fight for both fighters. For Wonderboy, rough times ahead. I don't know exactly what we do here. He's saying he has one more fight left on his UFC contract. We'll see if UFC are wanting to fulfill that final fight on his contract. I'd imagine they would be, so he probably will more than likely get one more UFC fight. Hopefully against like a high level, or at least someone with a good name, right? I'd rather not just fight some young prospect in the welterweight division. If he's not going to stick around the UFC though, can I just recommend he just go to Karate Combat already? I mean, I think we all know Wonderboy's career is heading here at some point eventually anyways. But why not? Let's just hurry this shit up, because that'd be fun. I would love to see Wonderboy in the Karate Combat realm, because it'd just be good times there. I mean, I don't know who exactly you fight over there. I don't have names of Karate Combat athletes. But really just anyone. Just let Wonderboy do his thing over in Karate Combat. I think that's a good time. I think that's a good retirement plan for Wonderboy. Next, then, Steve Garcia defeated Calvin Kattar via unanimous decision. Steve Garcia looked fucking good here, man. His output was absolutely insane. He kind of just picked Calvin Kattar apart. He defeated Calvin Kattar more impressively than Yusuf Zalal defeated Calvin Kattar from earlier this year, which is saying a lot because, you know, he got kind of whipped there. Steve Garcia on a 6-fight win streak now. Big things ahead for Steve Garcia. For Garcia's next fight, I'm going to recommend that we do Josh Emmett. I think that's the fight to make here. Josh Emmett currently ranked number 9 in the UFC rankings, so why not? I think that's a solid step up for Steve Garcia and a good fight. I think you could headline an Apex card with that, or you could co-main a regular fight night with that, or, you know, just throw that anywhere on a pay-per-view, and that's a good fucking time right there. I think it's a banger of a fight and moves Steve Garcia in the right direction, and a good fight for Josh Emmett to kind of test where he is in his career. Next, then, Morgan Sheree defeated Nate Landwehr via KO in round 3. Oh, so close here. I was predicting Nate Landwehr to win this fight by decision, and I feel like we were well on our way to accomplishing that, but Nate Landwehr kind of just came out in the third round and just got whipped. Morgan Sheree was like, nah, we're not letting this fight go the distance, sir. So yeah, he just put it on him right in the beginning of that third round, and he's lucky he got him out of there, because Morgan Sheree would have been dead tired right after that, and you know Nate Landwehr would have put it on him after that. So good on Morgan Sheree. Solid win. He lost the second round, so he needed to get that one done, and he sure did. For Morgan Sheree next, I don't know. There's a lot of places you could go with him. You know, he's kind of been win-loss in his UFC career thus far. I'm going to suggest a fun one with Morgan Sheree versus Cub Swanson next. I think that'd be a good fight. I don't know if you could get this on that UFC Paris card, which is as soon as September already. Typically, Cub Swanson's been a one fight a year type of fighter for a few years here now, and he typically picks December, so you could easily throw it in there too if Morgan Sheree wants a bit more time to heal up. But if you could get it on that Paris card, I could see that being like a co-main event on that Paris card in September. That's a fun time, or just a fight on the main card in that Paris card. That sounds like a good time to me, and this will be a kickboxing affair. This will be a fun fight and a good test to see where Cub Swanson is as well. Yeah, I like that fight quite a bit. I'd throw it on that Paris card, or we'll be looking towards the end of the year, I'd imagine. Oh yeah, obviously Cub Swanson coming off that big win over Billy Q from last December, in December 2024, and that was just, he looked phenomenal in that fight. So yeah, I think it's a proper step in the right direction for both fighters. Next fight then, Vitor Petrino defeated Austin Lane via sub round 1. Vitor Petrino, one of many UFC light heavyweights that are moving up to the heavyweight division as of late. And he looked pretty good. He looked very wide here. I know the broadcast was saying how difficult his weight cuts were to make the light heavyweight limit. So I think he looks good at heavyweight here. Might as well stay there. Heavyweight's such a weak division nowadays that any light heavyweight could really move up and try to find some success there. I know there are a few that have been hitting rough patches though with the bigger guys at heavyweight. So it remains to be seen how he'll fare against like truly big heavyweights, because Austin Lane isn't really that big of a heavyweight, right? For Vitor Petrino next, I'm gonna just recommend Muhammad Usman. I think that's a good fight. Both coming off 1 win now in the heavyweight division. Muhammad Usman, well, it's not a good fight. No Muhammad Usman fight is a good fight. Let me get that perfectly straight. But Vitor Petrino, Muhammad Usman, two guys that you know, not the most output on the feet, but decent grapplers in their own right. I think it's a fun fight. Set up. Why not? Last fight then that was on the main card. Tukos defeated Junior Tava via sub round 2. Yeah, I had Tafa going into this fight, so I was dead wrong there. Tukos looked pretty good here. He was definitely able to get the grappling advantage over on Junior Tafa, which is what I was worried about, but nonetheless, he made it look good. He made it look pretty easy here. For Tukos next, you could really do anyone. I'm going to suggest Ian Kuchelaber. He's coming off a loss, and typically UFC doesn't match up guys coming off a win and guys coming off a loss. There's not too much you could do here at light heavyweight. Light heavyweight has sort of the same problem, but not to the extent at heavyweight, and where it's just a kind of a weak division right now, and they just need some new prospects, need some new blood to fill it up a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna recommend Tukos versus Ian Kuchelaber because that's a fun fight, and I think the grappling will kind of cancel each other out, and it'd be a stand-up affair mostly. The rest of the fights on the main card then, or no, excuse me, the rest of the fights on the prelim. Chris Curtis defeated Max Griffin. That was a great fight. Chris Curtis looked good in his welterweight debut at the UFC. I don't know if they'll match him up with someone in the rankings next, but you could if you wanted to. Chris Curtis obviously been ranked at middleweight before, so yeah, you could really go any direction you want. Jake Matthews with a big win. You could almost match those two up, Chris Curtis and Jake Matthews, and that fight would make a lot of sense. Jake Matthews on a big like 3-fight win streak now, so he's kind of looking towards the rankings too, but that welterweight division is stacked, so I don't know if we'll get in there. Shout out to Mike Davis as well. He looked absolutely phenomenal in that. And then Laura Murphy also retired, so happy retirement to her as well. Now time for my favorite portion of the post-fight shows, guys. I'm going to be ranking the card. I'm going to be giving a scored number to this card. Where do we want to go here, guys? I think it was a good card. It was definitely a lot of finishes on the prelims. That Nashville crowd definitely showed out. The main event was pretty fun, even though it was an early stoppage. Co-main event, good fight, but disappointing ending. Nate Landwehr and Morgan Shree absolutely killed it. Some fun finishes on the main card as well. I'm gonna give this card a solid 7.8. I think it's a solid fight night. I think it's a good solid fight night. A fun card to watch if you're inviting your boys over to watch the fights. It was a good card to put on, have on in the background. Yeah, I think it's a solid fight night here. So a solid 7.8, and we only have the one other fight to compare it to. That was UFC 317, which I give it 8.5. So we're kind of seeing here how my ranking structure is going to go for these. And we move on to the next one, which will be UFC 318, another pay-per-view already. Next week, going to be Poirier versus Max Holloway 3. I'm looking forward to that one. Make sure to check out my preview video, which should be coming out in the coming days here, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, which you're already on. Hit the like button. Do all that shit. Very much appreciate it. And we will see you on the next one, guys. Bye-bye.